Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be watching this video. You're watching Syn-Star Tech Talk with Giles Cloley and Samuel Paul. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the basic things to look out for to be safe online when using websites. So firstly, Giles, people keep banging on about ensuring that there's an S on HTTPS, which appears before the URL on a web address. What's that all about?
So essentially, the sort of the standard language is HTTP. Essentially, if it's got an S on the end, it means that it's secure. It's security encrypted, and it does that through something called an SSL certificate, which essentially means that you need to be a registered company or person to get verified to get this certificate, so then you can have it backed against your website. But essentially, if you've ever gone onto a website and it's your web browser has popped up and said this isn't secure, or are you sure you want to continue onto this site, generally that kind of means that it won't have the S part, the security side.
So you talk about an SSL certificate and getting verified as a kind of an established business. Is that a recent thing that's been introduced, or has that always been the case with various websites?
Certainly it's been around for a number of years. A similar security happens with servers and email addresses, but now they've really gone full force with it. But the big thing that's really come in over the past couple of months is the fact that now Google, as in if you're using, say, Google Chrome, they really don't like you going on websites unless they are secure.
So another thing that I'm really interested in when I'm looking at a website, particularly a business's website, is if I'm interested in their service, I'm really keen about contacting them. But sometimes the only options available are to contact them by submitting my personal data on a website. I can't find any address, any email address, any phone number. Is that an indication that that website isn't secure, or what would you say?
It depends really, because there's a lot of big companies out there that are fully legitimate companies, but they just don't want you to turn up on their doorstep, essentially. So they won't necessarily advertise. A lot of the big companies, let's say for example, a lot of the big clothing manufacturers won't necessarily shout and scream of who they are on the outside of a building, because quite frankly they don't want to be broken into. Whereas the thing is, if you're going to buy something, so let's say for example you go online, you want to buy it, you want to know who you're buying from. So that's often where sometimes let's say for example we're in England, so if the website's kind of based in England, it's got a British address, then it kind of just gives you a bit more peace of mind. Of course, there is the extra layer of security in that if you, for example, give your details to that website and then pay using a third party, say PayPal, then you're also got that extra level of security.
I was at a networking event recently, and they spoke about the importance of having a privacy policy on your website. So when you're a consumer looking at the safety of the website, you're very conscious about your safety and your data that you input on a website. They say people are often encouraged to look for a privacy policy. What is a privacy policy all about, and whereabouts could you find that on a website?
Again, it really depends on the type of company, because essentially a privacy policy is your kind of your T's and C's and the rules of the game, albeit remember the sites that are essentially trying to rip you off and grab your credit card details or your personal details, well, they'll just create one anyway. So yes, it's good practice to have one, look for one, but in all honesty, probably doesn't really make that much difference, because if it is a bogus site, then they're going to do everything they can to look genuine.
Brilliant. And on the topic of good practice, as you just touched on, both you and I use Google Chrome. I'm sure many of the people watching this video are viewing it via Google Chrome. So tell me a bit about the Google safe browsing and why we encourage people to use Google Chrome in order to kind of solidify their security when using websites.
Google is quite a big player in the market. I think really it goes down to personal preference, because again, if you're using, whether it's Microsoft's version, whether there's a number of web browsers out there, I think the main thing is that you have a pop-up blocker, because again, that's when generally stuff that's written into the website could potentially come in. But yeah, it's always, safe browsing is the way to go, albeit It just depends what it is, what you're looking at really.
Brilliant, Giles. Well, thank you for that. Hopefully the viewers at home will have a bit more of an insight into keeping secure online. So that's everything for Syn-Star Tech Talk this week. If you have any questions, any comments, please comment away. Also, if you like this video, please do share it with your network. And of course, if you've got any ideas that we should be covering, then please, we encourage you to mention your ideas with us at Syn-Star.
That's it from us.
That's it from us.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye now.